Yeah, the online dating pictures and profiles that people put up, really it is advertising and you want to show up the best way you can. And some people don't even sort of bother. They just sort of throw up pictures of them with like their cat, and they also have weird bunny ears that they've put on themselves or something.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Please check us out online on our Facebook page and Instagram at Couples Synergy, or our website, couplesynergy.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform the relationships for over 20 years.
You know, everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's episode, we welcome Maura Gaughan. She is a personal wardrobe stylist and founder of the Wandering Parisian and Dating with Style. Welcome, Maura. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Thank you both. I'm very excited to talk to you.
And, before we started recording, I said I was going to butcher your name, and I apologize.
You had it in your head.
I had it in my head, and it just came out the same way.
How do you pronounce it?
So my name is Maura Gaughan. But like I said, if you want to pronounce it Gaughan, that's fine.
It just goes with Wandering Parisian too, right?
I know. I really should think about that.
Well, before we get into your story, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, the Wandering Parisian, how long you've been doing that, and, kind of what your focus is.
So Wandering Parisian came about, the idea really came about in 2018. I had spent some time in France, as you may have guessed. At the time, my then husband and I had taken about 3 months off. Well, I took work off. He was actually working, but we went to France for that time. And I was just kind of shoring up ideas about whether I wanted to continue work that I was doing, which was in public health research behavior. So I was focusing on maternal and child health, and I was part of a contracting company that was working for USAID. So we looked at behaviors that, enable people, motivators, or that were disabling for people to reach healthcare services and how we could help them. So I had done that for a while and was really excited about it. But I think, at that time, I really reached a point of, is this what I want to be doing for another, 10, 15, 20 years? So my then husband said, why don't we just, go to France? We'll kind of figure it out. And while he was working, I was figuring it out. And one of the things that I really noticed and just thought, you know what, I want to do something around this. This is inspiring me. I was noticing how people dressed in France. It was very effortless, and men and women. It was like they actually gave thought to what it is that they put on their bodies and how their style really resonated with who they were and who they wanted to kind of show the world that they were. So when I got back to the States, I said, this is what I want to do. And I took classes to become a wardrobe stylist, and I started my own business. And so with Wandering Parisian, I work with professional men and women to help them achieve the goals that they want to achieve in terms of, if that's like showing up as the professional person that they want to. They want to up their look professionally or personally. And the personal part really kind of led into people that were dating. And so I created Dating with Style, which again focuses on men and women that are a little bit older that are getting back out into the dating scene. And that's who I work with a lot.
I think that's really interesting because as human beings, we form habits really quickly. And that as we age or, styles change, it's kind of like, what's my go-to? What do I feel comfortable in? And it's very difficult to, expose yourself to new things and new styles and update your look and feel better. I've actually used someone as well because it's an interesting thing that you go through. And I think it also, you're not the person you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And it's a journey of self-discovery and, kind of letting go of who we used to be and stepping into who we are now. Have you found that it's difficult for people?
I think the want is there. And so when people contact me, they already have decided, I want this. Like, I don't have to convince anybody. But what I hear a lot is, I would have never chosen that for myself. I look amazing. But I would have never thought about this, which kind of, I think, goes with what you're saying, in that, we sort of have this tunnel vision or sort of a historic vision of who we are and how we've been thus far. And so it is a little bit hard to see how we can look different and how we have changed and elevate that in a way that really brings to life who we want to be. For instance, so I'm located in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We have a lot of people here that work for the government, and it's generally what I would classify as very conservative. So recently I had somebody say this to me, I want to dress the way I feel. I dress a certain way for work. I'm really conservative. I'm in navy blue all day. That's not who I am. So I think also too, what our jobs or whatever we're doing has kind of made us look a way that we're not necessarily feeling. And so, which is fine, that's sort of compartmentalized, but we need to be in touch with that and honor how we feel about ourselves and dress in a way that makes us feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's very important because we do get that tunnel vision, or we think we look a certain way, and then we have a photographer take a picture of us, and then we take a look at it and we're like, what? I didn't know I looked like that, And, I have a client right now that is, he is in his 50s and he is, back in the dating scene, and he is looking, he's doing the online dating, which is something that he's never done before. And that's kind of like an advertisement of yourself.
Yes. That that's an understatement. And some people take it to some interesting extremes. And some people don't even sort of bother. They just sort of throw up pictures of them with like a fish that they caught, or like their cat, and they also have weird bunny ears that they've put on themselves or something. So the online dating pictures and profiles that people put up, really it is advertising, and you want to show up the best way you can. And, a lot of that is dressing the way, that highlights your silhouette. And also photographers are not, it doesn't even have to be professional, but, a photograph or pictures that really highlight that too. So I do tell people, I help people to create outfits that maybe, make them look best because they're wearing that color. that brings out their cheeks or really brings out their eyes, or that style that really brings out and highlights the best part of their silhouette because we've taken into consideration what their body type is. So there's all these sorts of things that people have to think about that, frankly, when you're a little bit older, you're getting out there, it's like, oh God, do I really want to do this?
Why did you decide to specialize in people that were like 40 plus?
So I am 40 plus. Let's just say that. So I found myself out into in the dating world after being partnered for about 18 years. So my marriage came to an end, and it took me probably, I wouldn't say quite a year, but of my friends and family kind of pushing me like, get your toes wet, just kind of get out there. And for me, it was very daunting, and I mean, I hadn't dated since 1998. I think Clinton was an officer. No, Obama was in office at that time. But it had been a really long time. And so even though I knew how to dress myself, I knew the difference between what to wear on a happy hour date versus, going to the symphony, it was still super daunting to put yourself out there. And as you said, on an app or a profile, creating a profile, and so I created it based on myself, what I was feeling. And if I was feeling this way, I knew that a lot of other people were feeling this way and needed help. So, yeah, I come with a lot of empathy for sure.
How did you figure it out yourself? Did you go for, any guidance from anybody else?
So there's a lot of, for people that are listening, there are dating coaches, there are people that will help you create profiles. They'll even sort of respond to some people that write to you, that text you, that you match with. I didn't do any of that. Honestly, it really was fire by trial. Is that how the saying goes? I kind of figured it out a little bit, but it was, I don't want to say hard work, but it was definitely a process. It was a process, and it knocked you down. It's just, it is, people aren't always nice. On dating apps. It's almost like an alternate sort of universe, but on the flip side, it's also really fun, and it's really fun to meet new people. And, especially for people that have been partnered a really long time, they realize that a lot of the people that they know are couples. They don't know a lot of single folks. And so they're now finding themselves in a completely different space, having to go out and make even friends, not necessarily people that they're dating, but meeting people that are maybe going through what they're going through, and are single. So that happened to me when I separated. I realized that everybody I knew me or us, with my partner as a couple, and I didn't really know any single people. So to go out by myself was really like, oh gosh, who am I going to go out with? So it's an interesting time where you're meeting new people. Like I say, not necessarily people that you're dating, but other people. So
you're in a sense reinventing yourself, in all
Absolutely.
Aspects. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What do you do when you run into someone who, maybe is a little bit more resistive and is like, well, that color is not really me, or that kind of style is just not me at all, and they just don't feel comfortable with that?
Yeah. So people that I work with, like I say, I don't really have to convince people that come to me, because they already know, like, they want something, they just don't know how it's going to look. They have some ideas. So what we do is I try to work off of the goals that they have and show them the possibilities. And would they really, it is a process, they try on those high-waisted pants, or they try on that shirt that, they don't have in their wardrobe. Guys, maybe not having lavender, whatever that color is, kind of pushing that. And sometimes people like it and sometimes people don't. And it's really about how they feel. If they don't, then they don't, because when you feel good in your clothes, you put out an energy, you put out a vibe of confidence. So I think the worst thing that I could do as a stylist is put somebody in something and just say, no, just try it out. You'll get into it. And they're just not feeling it. So we do a trial and error. One of the things that I like to do with people is take a picture of them in an outfit so they can see. Sometimes it looks a little bit different than in the mirror, so they can see how they look. So yeah, I can kind of push people, but if it's not a fit, of what they're trying out, then it's not. And then we put things on them that do fit.
One of the things we hear a lot from people when they're in a bad place in their relationship, they always say, I want to go back to the way things used to be. And I wonder if people who are dating, especially after a long period of time, are still trying to attract the 20-somethings they were attracting when they were in their 20s. And does changing their wardrobe allow them to attract someone that is a different and maybe better fit for them?
That is a really, really good question. One of the things that I like to help people do is to look, and this is a bit of a double-edged sword, so I'm going to explain this. Help them to look age appropriate. Okay. Now, the double-edged sword here, I will say, is I have difficulty when I see things that say, women, these are the 10 things that women over 40 shouldn't wear, because you're automatically putting out a limit. And I don't think that that's fair. And I don't think that's necessarily right. And again, it's usually geared towards women, right? Let's be honest. The society we live in.
They have those lists coming out for men now too. Yeah.
But then the flip side of that is, and this is mostly what I experience, is people are at a point where, this used to work for me, but I'm not feeling this anymore. And I want to elevate. I want to look better. So I don't have a lot of people that kind of, want to put back on a tube top, or show their belly when they're, in their, but again, that's your style. That's how you feel, that's how you feel your power. I'm going to help you. But I really want to help people meet their goals. And usually it's really, kind of elevating and looking, elegant and classy and really highlighting who it is that they want to be. So I don't run into that a whole lot, I would say.
Do you see any patterns of like common mistakes people are making?
So this is what I'll say.
Rip Jean.
Both men and women, I would say, have, and I don't think this is a conscious thing. So I'll put that out there. I think they have sort of mental blocks on how things are supposed to fit. Mm. So, for instance, men have a little bit of difficulty when they try on things that are fitted and they think this is tight, because they're used to sort of the baggy sweatshirt or the baggy jeans and pants. But as most of us know, when you wear baggy items, oftentimes it makes you look heavier and it doesn't highlight, the highlights that you have of your silhouette. It makes you look bigger. So I try to teach people how to shop for themselves and their body types, and how things should fit. So I think that, across the board, I have even found where I had a woman who clearly she was a size 2. Or maybe even 0 in some things, but most of the things that she had a beautiful closet, most of the things in her closet were a size 4 or 6. And I kept saying to her, did you lose a lot of weight? She was like, no, I've always been the same size, but she never really knew how things were supposed to fit. And I think part of that was, and again, this kind of goes back to our behaviors and what we've been taught and sort of our history. She was a woman that was very slender, but she had a bigger chest. And I think she was always kind of told to cover up. So she had baggier things, which really didn't highlight her silhouette and make her look as elegant and elevated as she wanted to look. And so when I was showing her sort of, she had on a blazer one time, and I grabbed like all of this excess fabric and I showed her, I said, look, this is, and it's not hitting you right on the shoulders and but it just didn't resonate with her. So yeah, it's fit, I would say, across the board.
Are you looking for some great ideas for date night, or are you looking for some great ideas for family bonding time?
We're a big proponent of spending time doing new things that are thrilling and exciting.
Look up theadventurechallenge.com. That's theadventurechallenge.com for a couples edition and family edition. Now, these books come with 50 scratch-off adventures for couples and also for families to bond together and have some great fun together. Use coupon code CouplesSynergy when you're checking out for a 10% discount.
Hashtag Couple Synergy approved.
We always are looking for some great times. Again, that's theadventurechallenge.com. That's theadventurechallenge.com, and use Couples Synergy as the coupon code. I think that's an important point to stress, because there are styles now or fit that exist now that didn't exist before. And you're talking about men and kind of that baggy clothing. This slim fit or athletic fit, that didn't exist when I was growing up. And now the suits that I just had a suit made actually for me in DC, actually. And it was an amazing experience. Like, they had this body scan, and I was able to pick out the fabric and the buttons and everything, and it was custom made, and the suit fits perfectly.
And how do you feel when you have that suit on?
Oh, it's a power suit. You feel very confident, and it's not the suits that I used to have, because the suits I used to have were very boxy, and so there is much more of a tailored fit in the waist, and it's not tight, but it fits really nice and it feels great.
Yeah.
Right. And it makes the difference. It really does make the difference. And I'm glad that you highlighted the athletic fit. So guys that, work out, have a little bit of bulk maybe on their thighs or around, the back part of their silhouette, they can also find suits that fit them, even though they think, they've got to kind of go bigger to fit, and they don't. They just need to find that athletic size that fits them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just not going to pull a suit off the rack and have it fit you. You are going to have to go get it custom tailored for your body.
Yeah. And I think that's also something that, most of us as we age are not off the rack. And even if maybe at one point in time we were, things change and move and
migrate.
We just so one thing I always tell people too is to really find a good tailor that you trust to help you. Just because those minor adjustments, they really do make the difference.
Can you tell us a story of someone you worked with that was, a really great success story that felt really good?
So one thing that we haven't talked about. So the first thing for a lot of people, what I do is I like to do a closet audit. And so a closet audit is really going in and better understanding what exists in the closet, what can stay, what needs to go. And this is kind of a window for me anyway. It's a window into people's lives and who they are, what decisions around things that they've purchased in the past, they've made and why. A lot of times you'll pull things and there's a story. So sometimes it can be very sort of a long process, which I enjoy because it allows me to get to know my clients. So there was this one woman that we went through her closet and we went through everything. It wasn't just the professional closet or the dating closet. It was through everything. And at the end of it, she felt so relieved that she was giddy. She was like, I feel so good. I feel so amazing. And we hadn't even gone shopping and got her new outfits, but it was just this relief, this progress, this way. The other thing is too, she had lost some weight. So she was really kind of standing in her power, as they say. She was really feeling that success of, I am no longer that person. I feel such a weight, off of my shoulders of, getting to my goal, going through my journey. This is all kind of worth it. And I was like, oh God, don't cry. But, people just really, it's a little bit more emotional than I had even known, going into it. But it's, it's really gratifying when you can help people really reach their goals.
I just think about the energy of that, of walking into your closet and going, what am I going to wear? And if you eliminate all the clothes and you walk into your closet and you're like, oh, everything here is going to feel good, look good, fit good. That would be a great feeling.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I try to make it easy for people, just getting to them to have what I call a capsule wardrobe. So it's a really simple kind of basic wardrobe that they can expand from, but it allows them to mix and match and know that everything goes, and they can interchange things and still feel themselves, and then bring in those pieces of accessories that will highlight it, make it a little bit more interesting. But capsules are very key to what I do.
For me, as a more than 40 plus, I find the most difficulty shoes. I used to love wearing high heels and my feet don't like them anymore. And so it's like, well, what's the other option? Do you have to have like the nun shoes,
Well, for a lot of people, when they get older, their arches fall. And so what that means is that your feet get wide and their shoes or that size that used to fit just doesn't fit anymore. So for people that are interested in wearing heels, or maybe not the big heels that they had, but some heel, especially women that are petite, that would still like to wear some kind of a heel. I'm speaking for myself, by the way. There are things that are, there are lines of shoes that don't sound sexy, but have really interesting shoes that have expanded sizes. So that have like a wide shoe that still has a heel. So if you need that, it gives you that extra space. So your feet don't feel scrunched in a shoe, and that just kind of doesn't work. So there are options for sure. And if you're a flats person, there are really cute options too that don't look like the corrective shoes that you don't want to wear, that the nuns wear.
Now, I know that you do a lot of this consultation for people who are getting back into the dating field, but have you done any kind of consultation for couples who are wanting to kind of update, their style together and feel good and working together and improving?
Yeah. Actually, I've had a few of those. And so one of them, they own a business together. They own a business together. And she definitely had a style and a brand that she cultivated, and she was looking to have her husband come in and kind of look the part. And so they would look, like a couple, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also, so recently, gosh, this was probably early summer, I had a couple who, they're probably in their early 40s, I would say. And, they had little kids. And I think, when you have kids, it's a life change. And I think they were both kind of feeling like, what, just because we have kids, little kids, that doesn't mean we have to wear clothes that aren't us, or are stain resistant. So I've done that, and kind of makes them feel the more themselves and not just a parent.
Do you do all your work in person, or do you do virtual as well?
I do virtual as well. Yeah, because that allows me to reach more people. And I can't always travel to everybody. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really important for couples to really keep in mind as you are, and when we're working with couples, they are reinventing their relationship. They're really trying to level up. And so there are times that we would, suggest for couples to go take a dance class together, or go and get a photo shoot done together, right? Because it's that bonding experience that's really important for them. And so this would just kind of round out that whole experience, is kind of reinventing, how you present yourself, to the world and to each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also too, and I had made mention of this earlier, is that, people that are kind of in their 40s, they've reached, a lot of times in a professional sense, they've reached a different level, where they can afford more. They want to level up. They want to pare down what's in their closet to those key pieces that really look good on them. And they want to get rid of maybe the H&M, the Forever 21, those things that were maybe spoke to them before, but, it's not them anymore.
Yeah, that's the hard part, I think, because we do get so habitual. Another thing I think is interesting is makeup. Mm-hmm. Because you can't wear the makeup you did before without looking a little scary.
Well put. And trends change too, now sort of full brow for women is in, whereas in the 90s, we plucked to our heart's content. But that's not the trend now either. Mm-hmm. I think also too, and as we get older, and as, hair color changes or hair changes, those colors that used to look good on us, makeup and clothes, may no longer look good on us. So, things do change, and it is worthwhile to kind of work with a stylist or a colorist or somebody that can help you, just make you look good.
Do you find that there's a difference working with people who live in more rural areas versus urban areas, or different parts of the country when it comes to style?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think what kind of bothers me is people think that they don't deserve a stylist. That's not me. In other words, sort of saying, I don't really deserve to, I'm not that important to look good or to spend money on, something or someone that does that for me. So I think people in the urban areas are a little bit more conscious about how they look versus rural. But that's kind of a broad brush. But I think it's more or less people that kind of, oh, you're a stylist, I bet you work with, this kind of people. And for me, it's like, no, this should be something that everybody should be able to afford. And at some point, use as a service to help them. And this also kind of helps me. I like to educate people because of that, right? Because you don't always have the resources to do this. But if for like myself, I'm a shorter person. I am 5 feet, but I know how to elongate my legs. I know how to use colors that create balance in my silhouette. I know a lot of tricks that work on my silhouette. So if I can educate people, they can use that and go shop. They don't necessarily need to shop with me, obviously. That's what I like to do for my clients.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was just thinking, because we go back and forth from Chicago to Colorado, and I definitely don't wear suits in Colorado, and I have to shift my different styles.
Yeah.
Yeah. But style doesn't necessarily mean dressing up. You can have casual or leisure wear that still looks good on you and isn't, too big or makes you look kind of frumpy.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time in leisure wear, frankly, but, I also want to look good in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, if someone were to get in touch with you and want to kind of see more about what you do, how would they get in touch with you?
So I have a website, wanderingparisian.com. I am also on Instagram at the Wandering Parisian, and I started a new Instagram. It is at Dating with Style Club, because Dating with Style was already taken. And then I gave you I don't know if underneath this video you'll have my email, but people can always reach me at wanderingparisian@gmail.com.
And what would they expect if they got a hold of you? What could they expect?
So I offer people a 15-minute free consultation because I want to hear what their goals are. I want to hear what their challenges are. And see if it's a good fit, because, maybe I'm not your person. I'd like to be, but maybe I'm not. So I just let them tell me what it is that they're looking for. And I tell them how I can help them. So that would be the first thing, is just hearing people out and seeing where they're at, and then kind of coming up with a proposal, after our conversation. So I kind of write up a little summary and, what I kind of propose moving forward based on their goals and what they've told me and what is within my skill range, because I'm not a dating coach.
Awesome.
And then I email them that proposal, and also, what the time frame would be, how much I would charge, and they can choose one service, part of the proposal, the whole thing, depending on where they're at and what they want. So I'm very flexible.
Fabulous.
Wonderful. Maura, thank you so much for being on our podcast today.
Thank you guys so much.
Really fun.
Yes. Should say merci beaucoup. The Wandering Parisian, right? Well, we want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please subscribe to our podcast and please leave us a review. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as the Home Study Course Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive, and our premier program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.